Bill Maher has been running around doing media hits over and over again. Talking about how much more radicalized and right-wing he is nowadays, even though he's still, of course, going to vote for Joe Biden. Dude, he's like, it's so funny. He's like, that's the term I used. We get it, man. We get the joke. You don't have to describe it, okay? Like, we understand. Why do you hate him so much? Woman doing incredible things. Why do I hate him so much? Bill Maher is such a fucking arrogant, out of touch, reactionary piece of shit liberal. He's everything that I despise trapped inside of one fucking alcoholic human being's body. Like he is the perfect beacon of liberal elitism. He is basically the bi-coastal elitist that like everybody fucking chirps about. He is so unimaginably out of touch. He is so fucking annoying. He's so smug. He's so arrogant. He is such a classic, arrogant know-it-all, and he doesn't know anything. And to top it off, of course, he's unimaginably reactionary on social issues, constantly being like, these kids, all they do is protest. How about you go to Iran and die? That's it. That's literally his entire shtick. I just described to you Bill Maher's political commentary to a T. On college campuses, these woke homosexual students want to protest against the beautiful state of Israel. Well, how about I send a one-way ticket to Iran so they can stone you for being gay? Under Islamic rule, you would be killed for being gay. That's all he does. And it's like every stupid libtard fucking parent of yours watches that shit and eats it up, okay? I'll have you know, protesting? Kids these days, they want so many different genders. They're doing gender science. Why don't you go to Iran for being gender? Really, none of those things are the actually important or good things. First of all, half of those things that you just mentioned are not real at all. Gun reform is ridiculous, okay? The level of copium at gun reform, hilarious. Thank you. Yeah, we did so much gun reform. I know, the bipartisan bill that was passed, or was it? I don't even remember if it was bipartisan. That bill was nothing, okay? Ridiculous. As far as like employment numbers, also ridiculous. Like the idea that the stock market is doing great. Okay, that's awesome. That's sick, man. Thank you. Yeah, no, that really solved all of the issues, dude. The number one reason when asked for those under the age of 35 for their anger and resentment towards Biden is literally not even Palestine, Israel, or anything like that. It's just the cost of living being unimaginably high. Okay? Like, none of those guys are on the stock market, okay? Mention the infrastructure, dumb fuck. Mention the NLRB. Of course, they never will. But Biden's NLRB has done a good job. The infrastructure spending is, like, obviously an absolute necessity and the lowest amount possible, but still not the worst movement in the right direction. Afghanistan pullout is good too, but they're not gonna fucking ever say that, obviously. Dude, that's it. That's the real reason. It's just so funny to say this because, like, there's a shit ton of polling done on this matter, and neither the Republicans nor the Democrats ever bring this up. Like, no one, and I mean no one, but these fucking brain dead, boomers ever put that into consideration. It's not 2016. It didn't matter in 2022. It didn't matter now. It doesn't matter now. It never fucking mattered. And it doesn't matter in spite of the fact that people like Bill Maher constantly talk about how much this stuff matters. As a matter of fact, it actually worked in the opposite direction in 2022. If you want to talk about the trans stuff, the trans panic. So he's literally hilariously off base here. Republicans and their psychopathic tendency to lean into like anti-woke as a campaign strategy gave us the likes of Ron DeSantis and the massive failure of the 2022 midterm election. The fuck do you mean? It's the exact opposite, dumbass. Constantly leaning into like woke shit unironically has hurt the Republican Party. But if you had a fucking brain cell up there and you weren't just like operating on podcaster resentment that you have, you know, you've solidly developed into your only fucking form of discourse, you would know. You would know that, but you don't, because you don't fucking listen to anybody. You're not intellectually curious. You're just a fucking asshole. You're an arrogant, out of touch asshole who thinks he knows everything. Like, there was another poll I remember a couple years prior where they asked the American population what they consider to be woke. And it was shocking. Like, it was like 75% of the country knows exactly what it means. It means like being pro-social justice, and that they did not have a negative association with the term at all. I think it was like around the time of the midterms, actually. And it's so ridiculous. No, man, cost of living is high. That's it. Okay? That's it. Nobody gives. You would know that if you weren't such a fucking rich asshole and actually like communicated with a normal human being every once in a while. Like, holy shit. A lot of people think like I'm this fucking arrogant elitist asshole, but like it's literally the likes of Bill Maher who channeled this propaganda and never have to like listen to someone who is from a working class background at all, because they've isolated themselves. They've isolated themselves from anyone and everyone that would ever deliver to them something that they just don't know, something they don't care to know. Hasan is only 50 years away from becoming like Bill. Yeah, well, not really. I do personally try to manage that sort of thing as best as I can. Anyway, Bill Maher would have called anything contrary to the Three-Fifths Compromise woke back in the day. Yeah. Anyway, as far as like wokeness and shit goes, yeah, most people in new poll from 2023 view woke as a positive term. 56% agree with the more positive definition. While 56% of Republicans said wokeness meant being overly politically correct, 78% of Democrats understood the term as being informed on social justice issues. Anyway, ultimately, Bill Maher would, Bill Maher be more knowledgeable if he actually cared to read and didn't just like read everything that his fucking producers put on the goddamn teleprompter. It's very stupid. This discourse these guys have been pushing for since like 2016 is just podcaster nonsense, okay? It was crafted by podcasters like the Joe Rogan Orbit. Joe Rogan Orbiters consistently talk about this shit. That's it. How much of Bill Maher's rhetoric is because of his writers and producers? No, it's him. He directs the writer's room. Which is why I always advocate to kill all of the women in those places so that they can be saved from the oppressive constructs of living under Islamic rule. Oh, if you like it so much, why don't you wear a hijab?
Opportunities for education, reproductive rights, freedom from sexual violence.
It feels like he's literally describing America. That's another part of this conversation that's hilarious as well. He's like, all of these Muslims